I am here with Jonathan Staufer, a current town council member, and one of the 10 candidates running for Vail Town Council this November.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thanks for being here. Thanks for making the time for us. This is a tough question, and you might need to check your notes, but briefly tell us about yourself.
Oh, goodness. I was born and raised in Vail. I have been, in one way or the other, involved in the community for nearly longer than I can remember. My father was a council member. My uncle was a council member. And now I'm a council member, even though I never actually planned on being one. So there we are.
Nice. What made you run for council 2 years ago and running for re-election now? What was it that motivated that decision?
I think the same thing motivates me that motivates all of us, and probably you as well. We care very deeply about our community, and we want to affect how the future is going to be and how the place is going to look in 10 years. You raising a child here, I'm raising a child here. I'd like Vail. It was a fantastic place to grow up, and I would love it to continue to be a fantastic place for people to grow up.
So I can ask this question to you that I haven't asked to other people because you're a sitting council member. When you ran 2 years ago, how much time did you budget for council work, and compare that to how many hours you actually spend on Vail Town Council work?
Actually, I answered this question a few weeks ago when the other candidates came to the council to talk about it. And I said, conservatively, plan on 10 hours a week. Okay? And then remember, last week we had a 14-hour meeting. So you are doing this job. And it is taking away from other things, and it's okay. That's a choice you make.
Yeah.
So.
And obviously you're running...
I didn't expect it to be as much time as it is, but that's okay.
Yeah, I was close to 20 hours.
Yep.
Because I'm a slow reader.
Yeah.
But obviously you find it rewarding, right? Or
yes.
you wouldn't be running for
Definitely.
re-election.
Definitely rewarding. It has definitely been a humbling and a learning experience, and it has been phenomenal. I think we've gotten a lot done in the last 2 years, and I hope the next 2 years are just as good.
So one of the rare opportunities that a candidate in our community gets to address all the voters at once. This is one of those opportunities. And then the candidate forum is really the other one. The rest is one-on-one. So as this being one of those opportunities, why don't you go ahead and give the voters your quick pitch on why they should vote for you?
Well, I think it's, why should they vote for me versus somebody else? I think
there's a lot of candidates.
The experience now, it matters. And so I'm happy to have the experience. I think generally people should be looking for somebody who they feel represents a cognitive, an all-encompassing, a holistic vision of what Vail should be in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, as opposed to simply one issue. And I like to go around and talk to people about what they think is the problems or are the problems, and how we can work collectively to solve those problems.
What are you doing to get that message out? How are you reaching the voters?
Well, this is my first interview.
Okay.
And then the next thing, well, I'll be honest, I'm absolutely useless on social media, absolutely useless. So I've written some emails out that I plan to send out to some folks and get the word out that way. And then I hope to be meeting a lot of people, because we're a small community, in person.
Great. So obviously you have been very politically active the last 2 years.
Yes.
Because you've been spending 10 to 20 hours a week working on that. What did you do before the first time you ran 2 years ago? Were you politically active in the town at that point, and what types of things did you do to work for issues that you felt strongly about?
I've always come at things from a community and from an environmental standpoint. So one of the things that I was happy to be involved with starting was Trees for Vail. Another thing that I was very proud of is my idea and the collaboration of the Vail Farmers Market, which is now the biggest economic generator in the town in the summer. So I've been doing a lot, you fight for things, you fight against them, you get involved, and you make you make friends along the way.
So you grew up here. You
Yes.
were born here, right?
Yep.
In the
Well, I was
hospital?
born in Denver. We
You
didn't
were
have
born in
the
Denver.
hospital. Yeah, the hospital.
Okay. What neighborhood did you first live in, and what neighborhood do you live in now?
I lived, my first neighborhood when I was a kid was on Bridge Street. And then
Where on Bridge Street were you?
we were above Vendetta's, what was then, which was then Pistachios, and before that La Cave. And then we moved up, now we're in Sandstone, and now I'm in Intermountain.
So you grew up Bridge Street, Sandstone, and now you're in Intermountain.
Yep.
Have you seen, I mean, obviously there's a lot of changes to the town. What about to the neighborhoods?
Oh, I think there's been a lot of changes to the neighborhoods as well.
How so?
Well, I think something that we need to look more closely at, and I think this council did a nice first step, is the rental situation in the community. You know, I hear evidence both sides that it doesn't impact local housing, that it does, etc. But it's nice at the end of the day. Intermountain's probably one of the most densely locally populated neighborhoods. It's nice at the end of the day to walk down the street and run into people you know. And it's a little disorienting occasionally to see people who you don't know doing things that they absolutely positively shouldn't be doing in a residential neighborhood, i.e. having a campfire next to two buildings, which I've seen.
Yeah. My neighbors had a fire pit for many years.
No, they didn't have a fire pit. They just built one.
Oh, nice. Perfect.
So balance.
And you bring up short-term rental. So do you own any investment properties within the town of Vail?
No, we are, as far as residential?
Well, you own some commercial space.
Yes. You know,
Yes.
we're in
What about residential?
Residential, we own one unit in Avon, which is an employee long-term rental.
Yeah, and that's not in the town of Vail.
Yeah.
So let me get, what do you think, you already said a little bit about the short-term rental regulations that you guys in the last 2 years have put in.
It's literally a small start. But
Where-
I think the
where do you
data
think it should go?
data is important. I want to know, is it displacing locals? And if so, how is it displaced? You know, okay. I have a very good friend I went to high school with. She rents out 2 bedrooms in her basement. She's there all the time. I think this is kind of more along the lines of what we want to be doing. Having somebody that you don't know arrive next door to you if you're in the residential neighborhood and you're not expecting it, or having them show up at 2 o'clock in the morning and making a lot of noise, this is not a pleasant experience for the people who own there. So there's, again, a balance. The data is important. We have to see what we can
Yeah,
do.
let's make sure we're all good neighbors.
Exactly.
What issue, I use the term in my question, what Vail issue gets your blood boiling? But you can take the definition of blood boiling as broad as you want.
Goodness gracious. Well, I think we can and need to be doing, and we are doing more about climate change. That's one, because we started as a ski resort. We're a mountain ski resort. If we don't sell climate, that's one of the big things we sell. So I think that's an important thing. I will be straightforward and say I think our relationship with Broomfield, namely Vail Resort's corporate offices, is terrible. I would like to see that improved. I mean, as I said, after a very successful National Brotherhood of Skiers visit, we had a phenomenal relationship with Vail Resorts during that event. And as I said at the end of that, it has always taken all of us, regardless of whether we agree or not. Vail is the product, and we have to work together to make sure it's the best.
Okay. So the opposite of blood boiling, what do you do for fun? What do you do to calm down when your blood is boiling? What do you like to take advantage of here in
I
Vail?
like running around the parks with my daughter.
How old is she?
She's 9 now. And so we go to every single park. We like riding the bus together. We like riding bikes together. It's a very pleasant and safe and nice place to live, and I think we're very lucky to be here.
Yeah, I tried a couple of times and was never successful to take Sasha, my son, when he was much younger, to hit every park in one day using the buses.
Yeah.
And
It's
we
hard.
never made it.
It's hard.
Which
Yeah.
was great because we had too much fun. And then it was time for a nap.
That's awesome.
For me.
That's great. Yeah, yeah.
West Vail Master Plan.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think will be or should be the important outcome of that process?
The opportunity is to keep a very important neighborhood alive and keep it as full of locals as possible. I think that's really where we should be focusing. So, you know, I mean, we have opportunities coming up probably with the City Market Safeway merger that we should be looking at. There's things going forward, and there's some plans that are already on the books as far as other buildings that need to be built out. And I think I was delighted to see Rhyme open up in West Vail, because I think that's the first place that's opened up in about 5 years in West Vail. And that, you know, we need new energy. We need new things, and we need new people who are willing to take the chance on entrepreneurship and make sure that we can help them. So, i.e. Bad Kitty.
Thank you. Thanks for the plug.
You know, it's true.
Yeah, it's very true. New energy is
Damn
important.
good bar, by the way.
When you look back, being reflective on the past 2 years of council, is there one thing or two things that you look back on and you go, wow, that actually happened and I was part of that?
I think residents at Mainvale being open, now of course that was the previous council that did that, but we put a lot
part
of
of it.
thought into making it look better, making it look like it belongs in the mountains, and putting solar panels on the roof and making sure it was as green as possible within the budget. I think I'm very, very proud of that.
And that you see all the time.
Yep. And the other thing that I'm very proud of is that those sheep are still there in Eastville, and they will still be there after this council's finished.
Okay. As I said earlier, there's very few opportunities. So take the last couple of minutes of our interview and address the voters and let them know why they should support you, why you deserve another 2 or 4 year term. And they should all know that all of these interviews, including the candidate forum, are going to be on High Five Access Media. They can look it up. So even though you might not have the social media chops, they do have those chops, and your answers are going to be out there for all to see,
which is
and
great.
do their research to make an informed vote. So you get the last few words.
I had probably the kindest text sent to me the other day, and it was from a fellow who has a business in town and has lived here for a while, and he said, "You have been approachable, you have been responsive, you have taken charge of the things that need to be taken charge of, and I'm happy to support you." And I was delighted to get that. And I think my approachability is obvious, and I think where I've needed to change my mind, I've changed my mind. And the most important thing that I think I learned going into this, and I continue to keep this in mind, it is both an honor and a humbling experience to be chosen for this office. And while I know a lot, and while my family has been here since the first winter, et cetera, always remember that you don't know everything. And I do try and keep that in mind, and I do try and get out to talk to people as much as possible.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much as a Vail citizen for your service to the town, all you've done and all you're about to do.
Thank you very much
Thank you so
for
much.
having us. Thanks for taking the time to do this. I really appreciate it.
Talk to you soon. Thank you,
Thank you.
Jonathan Staufer.
Thanks, guys.